hopefully I've convinced you to start thinking about this. So now let's talk about how you guys get started. And I wanted to also make sure we leave room for questions. What are your customers' preferred platforms? So this is your homework. I want you guys to go home and think. Now, you can't do everything, especially if you're not hiring an agency. So if you're not hiring somebody to help you, if you're doing this all yourself, I always tell my clients, pick a platform. LinkedIn is great for business to business, but also depends on the type of business to business. Sometimes Facebook might be a good fit for business to business. So what are your customers' preferred platforms? Think about that. And I'm going to help you figure out how to identify that. One of the ways you can actually do that is by understanding that these platforms offer tools called audiences. Has anyone heard of this before? Again, only child. I need some feedback. Okay, so some yes, some no. So I saw some shaking heads. So basically, we have Facebook where we can actually upload a list of your email addresses. So if you already know who your customers are, if you have a database, you can actually upload them to Facebook, and they will find those people on Facebook for you. But they also provide something called a lookalike audience. So it will help through the algorithm to find other people who are similar in that customer profile. Now, Facebook was one of the first to do it, and excitingly enough, LinkedIn has just announced this. This came out in the last week, and so I'm pretty excited about seeing this on a LinkedIn perspective because now we can do this on LinkedIn. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. And though it's not up here, Pinterest allows you to do the same thing. So even though I can't talk about all social platforms, and Pinterest wasn't in my top 5, I do like you to know that Pinterest also allows you to upload and contact people, and no surprise, Twitter does as well. So let's talk a little bit about B2B. So for those of you who are in a business-to-business area, LinkedIn, I don't know if you realize this, and there's a URL at the bottom here. So it's really long, and you guys can download the presentation. But you can actually see what your social selling index is. So if you're thinking, she really got me thinking today, I should probably start looking at social selling for LinkedIn. Go home and look at what your social selling index is on your LinkedIn profile. And then you can actually start working on the categories before you start doing your outreach. Bring things up, putting information in your profile. This can make a big difference in the outreach. So this is one of the things that I wanted to mention on LinkedIn, is that you actually have the ability to even check what your social selling index is. LinkedIn also has a social selling dashboard. So if you're interested, no surprise, they're trying to, with Microsoft's involvement now, give you guys a place to almost manage your social selling opportunities on LinkedIn. And that one is an upgrade in a fee, so just to keep it in mind. Now, I mentioned that they have audiences. So just to give you an understanding, with B2B audiences on LinkedIn, they do 3 things. They allow you to retarget, so you can actually retarget now on LinkedIn, which was not there before. You can upload your contacts, and then of course, they can help you create a profile targeted based on those contacts. So these are 3 new tools available for those of you who are interested in B2B on LinkedIn. So for me, I started my business by networking, and I used to have a formula. So when you think about business-to-business networking, did you guys all network this morning a little bit, get to know each other? So what's that first stage, right? That's connect. So we don't ask for things right away, we start talking. So starting conversations. So looking at what people post on LinkedIn that have maybe our potential clients, the articles they post. Start looking at that. Start interacting what's in their news feeds. That's a great way for them, because I know when somebody comments or likes my article on LinkedIn, your name is now in the back of my mind. Or if you visit my profile on LinkedIn, I go look and go, ooh, who visited my profile? So it's sort of that drip touch. Before you pick up the phone or you do anything, you're sort of doing these connection points. And you think about, hey, wait, I know that name. So that's the first thing. Now, with that, I always used to say to people, listen. Listen when you're networking. So before you were to reach out to them to the next step, look at what they're posting. What's important to them? What are they writing articles about? This is a great way for you to build a rapport on your first conversation. So of course, no surprise, that's our next thing, is the interaction. And then of course, we need to provide value. So if you're starting to interact, maybe you can comment and give some information or some connection so you can show that you really understand their business. We want to work with people who we like, but we also want to make sure they understand our businesses. And then, of course, last but not least, now you can ask for opportunities. Now you've gotten to know them. But I'll tell you really quickly, I had someone do this to me on LinkedIn the other day. I accept people oftentimes, and the first thing I did is, can I make an appointment with you? And I'm like, I don't know you yet. Get to know me. Start sharing some information, but don't hard sell me. So just like you wouldn't do that in person, or you shouldn't, you shouldn't do it on social media. Let's talk a little bit about social selling on something like Instagram. So first off, on Instagram, you want to understand your audience. For those of you who, again, Instagram has a tendency to skew anywhere from 18 to 35. It's definitely a millennial preferred platform. So I oftentimes tell people that Facebook is almost, yes, everybody's on Facebook, but it's really more the preferred platform for the over 35 crowd. LinkedIn is definitely the one, Instagram is definitely the one that you'll find the under 35. They still have Facebook, but this is their preferred platform. So again, understand who your audience is, what they're looking at. Leverage all the tools that are available to you. So on Instagram, we have videos, we have images, and now you can actually put up multiple images, so you now have like almost a gallery style. And then, of course, we have stories, which, if anyone knows this, they snagged that one from Snapchat. So these tools can be really helpful. A couple of things to also know, stories disappear within 24 hours. So from a social selling perspective, we actually use this as an opportunity to show sales. So we have disappearing stories, so we've done this with clients for flash sales. So this type of thing works really well. Also, try and find your own unique voice. Maybe it's a perspective or an angle that you take your photos from. Maybe you always have something unique in that photo, that sort of signature for your business. That's a great way to stand out on Instagram. Another thing is, we'll look at this in a few minutes, but make sure you are looking at your analytics. Understand the hashtags that attract people to finding you and discovering you, because Instagram is definitely a discovery platform. So social selling on Facebook can be a little different. As I mentioned, the demographics are a little different. So also think about, you want to understand your audience here. Still try and find your unique voice. That doesn't change from one platform to the other. You should sit down with a score counselor and often ask them, this is part of what is your unique proposition as a business? Okay? And then use the tools here: video, images, slideshow galleries, and Facebook Live. Now, I have to tell you, Facebook Live has the best organic reach on Facebook. So if you've not ever thought about this, it's something you might want to think about. Again, it varies on the type of business you're in, but keep in mind, this is a great way to attract people to understand. So even if you're an at-home business, if you create something or make something, you sort of can do a Facebook Live to give people an insight into what you're doing. It's a great way for you to connect with them. Make sure you're responding to all comments. If you don't know this, you can actually respond privately. When someone comments on your Facebook post, below it you can reply as the business. So you're not replying as Jennifer, I reply as Technology Therapy. So it does keep your personal life private. So one thing people often don't know, that you can do that. And then of course, Facebook gives algorithmic preference to those who respond quickly. If you've ever noticed on Facebook, it even shows you, it says this page responds quickly. I know this is going to sound scary, but I tell people all the time, keep your phone by you. Keep the push notifications on for this. You can use business pages on your phone, so you can turn off the push notifications on your Facebook app, but keep them on the Pages app. And that is a way you'll know who's interacting with your business page. And then one thing that I think is really important that you understand is that the mobile version of Facebook has more features nowadays than the desktop version, as strange as that might be. They're really trying to roll it out. I don't know if anyone even noticed that they changed Messenger on the desktop to feel much more like the mobile. So social selling via Messenger is something, and so I just wanted to show you, there's a little animated GIF in here that shows you, now you can actually, through certain platforms, share links from your website, and they can purchase without ever leaving Facebook. So you now can have personal, private conversations, jump over and try and look at their profiles, and really kind of talk them through the purchasing process. This connectivity actually works with platforms like BigCommerce and Shopify. If anyone wants any other information, you're more than welcome to ask me after. So these are things that I just love you to know that you can actually start to be thinking about. There's a couple of things going on with Instagram. First off, Instagram did announce last year that they would have a shopping platform. Currently, they have not released it to everybody. Of course, they're beta testing it with companies like Kate Spade. But if you're interested, there is a company called Correlate that actually does help you with selling. Now, Instagram, if you have a Shopify website, you can get on the waiting list, and they are going to open up to Shopify first, because that's their first partner. So if you're interested, we've actually had some clients who are even launching separate sites just to be able to sell into Instagram earlier. So these are some things to understand about what's going on. And then Walk the Chat is actually for selling through WeChat. I mention this because I have clients who sell internationally, and WeChat is huge for selling into the Chinese market. So if you have a product that you think might connect with that audience, this is a platform you may want to be thinking about.